Budget and PS Technical Services, Ministry of Agriculture, and the acting PS Administration. Together with your team, you've been conferred with immunity. However, PS, you did indicate that you needed to make some printouts. I hope you've done that. You can, as I confer you with immunity in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, you can proceed and make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll ask the honorable members to refer to the memorandum which has been circulated on the accounts of the Republic of Zambia, class 19, noting that the item on which we are appearing as a follow-up starts from page 4. I'll request the honorable members to proceed to page 4. We are submitting in regard to the cause of query. The query arose due to the fact that there was failure to adhere to an agreement on assignment of rights and interest on a long-standing fertilizer procurement contract, sum of $30.6 million between Ministry of Agriculture and Nyombo Investments. Chair, as instructed, we went back to review, and in our review we have come back with additional information, the summary of which I'll speak to as tabulated in the memorandum. Chairperson, I wish to bring to your attention that the Ministry of Agriculture entered into a fertilizer procurement contract number MA/MPC/004/2016 on 10th June 2016 with Nyombo Investment for a sum of $30,608,037.37 for the 2016/2017 farming season. On September 23rd, 2016, $3,984,572 of this amount was then subrogated to Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprises Pte. Limited by Nyombo Investments, which subrogation was acknowledged by the Ministry of Agriculture, and subsequently a part payment of $325,379.61 was paid to Swiss Singapore against the subrogated amount on 6 July 2017, leaving a balance of $3,659,192.39. In July 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture confirmed that the amount owed to Nyombo Investments to be $35,718,225.77, broken down as $22,900,702.23 in principal amount for the farming season 2016/2017 relating to contract number MA/MPC/004/2016 and $12,817,523.54 in interest amount. The Ministry of Agriculture stated that the $12.8 million was total interest amount for delayed payments for the two contracts regarding farming seasons 2015/2016 and 2016/2017. The amount confirmed by Ministry of Agriculture is the amount the Ministry of Finance and National Planning indicates having been liquidated through the issuance, Chair, apologies, of bonds. With your indulgence, that fell off. A correction there. Further to the above, it is noted that in a letter of September 2018, Ministry of Agriculture acknowledged full payment of the $35.7 million owed to Nyombo Investments and consequently indicated having made adjustments bringing down the amount owed to Nyombo to zero. They, however, proceeded to seek guidance on unpaid domiciliation assignments, which included $3,659,192.39 owed to Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprises Pte. Limited. When Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprises demanded its balance of $3.6 million, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning sought legal guidance from the Office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General guided that the Ministry proceeds to pay ABGTL, the former Swiss Singapore, to avert costly litigation. On the understanding that there was an overpayment, in his letter referenced MOJ/102/38/714/23 and dated 15th February 2024, the Attorney General reiterated that the payment to Nyombo Limited was erroneously made. Consequently, the Ministry proceeded to pay ABGTL based on the advice from the Attorney General and further engaged Drug Enforcement Commission for assistance in the recovery of the overpayment to Nyombo Limited. In addition, noted that the Ministry, in proceeding in this manner, wrote to the Attorney General indicating this course of action, to which there was no objection from the Attorney General. The Commission acknowledged receipt and advised that they would immediately institute investigations into the matter. A follow-up letter with reference NFNP/BO/101/13/37 dated 9th September 2025 was written to DEC requesting for an update on the matter. We have consequently submitted an appendix which has a set of correspondences, Chair, which speaks to the summary of what we are submitting in regard to this case. And just to submit that the Ministry is very much interested in bringing this matter to its proper logical conclusion, and we have noted further that the Drug Enforcement Commission is actually actively engaged in the investigation. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Maybe we can have, if there's any submission from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Acting Permanent Secretary in charge of administration, or the PS Technical, if there is any submission over the aforesaid.
Thank you, Chair. Let me ask the Acting PS Admin if he has any further submission.
Thank you, PS. Acting PS Admin.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, honorable members. Chair, our submission is really not invariant with what Minister of Finance has submitted, but we'll read out a few processes, what happened to them up to the time we submitted our documentation to Minister of Finance. Chair, the committee may wish to note that the Ministry signed a contract for the supply and delivery of 31,042.35 urea fertilizer for the 2016-2017 farming season with Nyombo Investment Limited on June 10th, 2016 at a contract price of $30,608,037.37 Chair, on the 23rd of September 2016, Nyombo Investment assigned the contract date to Swiss Singapore Overseas Pte. Limited in amounts totaling $3,994,527 through notes of assignment to the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Finance and National Planning. The Minister of Agriculture, in its letter dated 4th January 2017, acknowledged and accepted receipt of notice of assignment. Following the acceptance of the assignment, Minister of Agriculture made a payment of $325,379.61 on 6th July 2017 towards the assigned debt of $3.984572 million, leaving a balance of $3.659 192.39 outstanding. On 24th November, Minister of Finance wrote to Minister of Agriculture requesting for information on the outstanding liabilities owed to Nyombo Investment and Area Investment respectively on a letter referenced MF1A101-12-1. The Minister of Agriculture responded on 11th December 2017 on minute referenced MOA 822, submitting the outstanding debt position as requested. Chair, on 4th April 2018, the Minister of Agriculture was informed through minute reference MFIDM 3/2/1 that the debt dismantling instruments were issued to two banks, namely EcoBank Zambia Limited and Standard Chartered Bank, amounting to $35,718,225.77 in favor of Nyombo Investment. The Minister of Agriculture, in its response to minute MFIDM 3/2/1, confirmed the clearance of the debt owed to Nyombo relating to contract number MA/MPC/004/2016 in a letter dated 5th July 2018, referenced MOA 8/2/2. In the recent past, Swiss Singapore made requests to the Minister of Agriculture for payment of the outstanding bill of 3.6 million 59192.39. There have been numerous correspondences between Minister of Justice, Finance and Agriculture seeking guidance on how to proceed on the issue. The Minister of Agriculture on 17 October 2020 wrote to Minister of Finance to handle the matter as the payment was done from the Treasury. I submit, Chair.
Thank you for that submission. The supplier is here. We can have the supplier also to join us. So maybe while the supplier is joining us, we just wanted, honorable colleagues, we can, those are the submissions and slightly additional information from the PS budget and also Ministry of Agriculture. I think what we are trying to adduce is first and foremost, Ministry of Agriculture were aware that there was assignment of receivables, as it were. So, and also Ministry of Finance were aware because this was shared to you by the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you. Maybe the gentleman who has joined us, you can just introduce yourself. We've called you. This is a Public Accounts Committee. We are dealing with the former Swiss Singapore issue of the $3.6 million which was paid you to your Minister of Agriculture. Maybe you can just introduce yourself and the position you hold in the same company.
Everybody, good morning everybody. My name is Manish Kothari. Sorry for my dress, I just received like notice just now and I appeared, so I am not in formals. And I am working with Aditya Birla Global Trading. This is a Singapore based company, but I am employed with their Zambia entity. It's a separate legal entity. What amounts, this is all related to the dealing which our head office, the parent company had, even before we incorporated the company in the Zambia. So it's regarding the fertilizer we supplied. It was supplied under the FISIP those days, and amounts were assigned to us, and later on with the follow-ups it was paid to us. So irrevocable assignment from the Ministry of Agriculture and the acknowledgement of the same. Some point of time we were just keep chasing, and there were different position in between, but finally the facts were established, the documents were produced, and the amount was paid.
Okay, thank you. Your name again?
Manish Kothari.
Manish, okay, I think we've seen your name in one of the letters, Mr. Manish, okay. Honorable members, take note. So, PS budget and PS, the permanent secretary is from the Ministry of Agriculture. The issue here is we had assigned receivables to the aforesaid company, and the ministry even went ahead and paid the $300 something thousand. I've seen, because initially it was $3.9 million. So initial payment which the ministry made was $325,000 to reduce it to 3.659. Our question was, the ministry was well aware that there was assignment of receivables. Why did you proceed between the two ministries to pay the $3.6 million, inclusive to Miombo, the one which is in liquidation, making government now to suffer this loss now which we are chasing with a company which is already liquidated? When you came here, PS, we did ask you if in liquidation we are aware of this debt and the liquidator was contacted. That was not done. However, the aforesaid company, Swiss Singapore, did start pushing the government to pay this money and also threatening to take legal action. And you are now advised by the Attorney General's chambers to proceed and make payment. So we want to establish why, when we are aware that there were assignment of receivables, but we proceeded to pay the same amount. And also in your submission, PS, you are saying they are ever proceeded to seek guidance on the unpaid assignment which included this. I don't know when somebody can go and seek advice when already you've overpaid in the other contract, you've cleared, then now you come back and again seek guidance. We're trying to understand what transpired. So I think answers should start from the Ministry of Agriculture on why they proceeded to tell the Ministry of Finance also to proceed and pay the entire amount, and why the Ministry of Finance also paid the entire amount, because you are aware that they shared the irrevocable assignment of receivables. Then we'll get to the supplier later. So that is those are the issues we want you to address. Any other issues, honorable colleagues? Honorable Committee, you had a hand.
No, not really. I had a hand yet, but I think your explanation does it.
Okay.
My question is on those lines.
Okay, thank you. So, Ministry of Agriculture, you can proceed, and then we'll come to the Ministry of Finance on the aforesaid issue. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know whether PS admin, you can answer that one.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members. Chair, in our letter dated the 11th December 2017, we had aggregated the debt to Nyombo and informed...
Letter dated?
11th December. Chair, there is a mistake. It's written 11th November 2017. It's 11th December.
Okay. So it's just a second. Honorable colleagues, do you have this number 4? Where's number 4? Okay. Number 4, request for information. Yes, you can proceed and read the same letter as well. Acting PS, yes.
Chair, the letter reference M4A/8/2/2 dated 11th November 2017 to the ST. Request for information on outstanding liabilities owed to Nyombo Investment Limited and Neria Investment Limited. Reference is made to your minute MFIA/101/12/1 dated 24th November 2017 in regard to the above subject. Please be advised that the Ministry of Agriculture owes Nyombo Investment Limited the total sum of $22,900,702.23. in the principal amount and area investment, the total sum of $18,552,549. In interest amounts only, Naira Investment Limited has been paid the full principal amounts, while Nyomo Investment Limited, we have not concluded discussion on accrued interest on delayed payments. Further, be advised that the contract for Nyomo Investment Limited for the farming season 2015 and 2016 and 2016/2017 is subject to domiciliation as follows. Chair, Eastern and Southern Africa Trade and Development Bank, 16,137,651 48 cents US dollars. EcoBank, 9,712,517.71. Swiss Singapore Overseas, 3,659,192 million dollars. Efficient Fighters Limited, 338,569.58 US dollars. The total amount domiciliated is 29,849,931.16. Enclosed is Naira Investment Limited and Nyomo Investment Statement of Account as at 8th November 2017 and domiciliation documents for Nyomo Investment. Chair and honorable members, from that minute, Chair, we informed the Minister of Finance the debt which was owed to Nyombo and what was owed to Swiss Singapore. I submit.
So PS, acting PS or Minister of Agriculture, what we want to understand, we've seen what you've articulated here, but we don't see where's the. Okay, so there's this bill for Nyombo Investment, and which other one? There's Neria paid full principal amount. I think the question we want an answer to is the assignment of receivables, because it was written to you, you acknowledged, you gave it to finance, but when you were making the payment to Nyombo, even the monies for Swiss Singapore was paid in principle, isn't it? Is that the position? Because that's what we're trying to establish.
Chair, the amounts paid to Nyombo were paid through means of finance.
Thank you, PS. Acting PS, I hope you are getting my question. My question is, we have a contract of $30 million. Then the client comes to us and tells us, this $30 million, you should pay $5 million to X person. We've agreed, we've assigned this payment. Okay? Then later on, the same supplier comes back and just tells us, just pay everything to me, and it's paid. Then now, Swiss Singapore comes back, so we had agreed for them to pay us this money. We want our money to be paid. Otherwise, we'll go we'll seek legal redress so that we can have our money paid. Then we are told now, okay, go ahead and pay. Then now we now need to find out who authorized this payment, because that's the question we're having. Is why did we pay the entire amount knowing that we were still owing assignment of receivables for $3.6 million? I think that's what we want to understand. How was this money paid knowing in advance that we'll have another person in this contract to pay? PS, acting PS, that's what we want to establish. Because you as the custodian, the Minister of Agriculture, you had informed the Minister of Finance that the Minister of Finance, there's a $3.6 million which should go to Swiss Singapore, but they also went and paid. Even having those assignment of receivables is here. It's there's a just after this submission of number 4, there's Nyombo Investment letterhead, which is number 1. Honorable colleagues, you've seen it is number 1, and it reads, we in Yombo Investment, a company incorporated under the laws of Zambia and having registered office at plot number 5277/78 Wiantanshi Road, Lusaka, thereafter referred to as a customer, hereby assign all the interests and rights of Nyombo, including the rights to receive the monies to Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprise Limited, thereafter referred to as SSOE, and agree that you shall hold, retain and have a lien upon receivables from the Ministry of Agriculture, therein after code MOA under our contract number MA/MPC/004/2016 for the supply and delivery of 31,042.35 metric tons of urea fertilizer, thereafter referred to as receivables due to us, for the sum of which we may from time to time actually or consistently indebted or liable to Swiss Singapore Overseas Limited under the facilities. We irrevocably undertake to instruct our obligator to make the total payment of $3,984,572,000 due under the contract, which I just read, amounting to 30,608,035.37 cents to SOE's Standard Chartered Bank PLC, United States dollars account number 87001146624400 and Kwacha account number 010014662400. This was the instruction given, and it's stamped Permanent Secretary 23rd September 2016. So you had this instruction. That is where we're trying to now ascertain what transpired. There's an instruction by the supplier, who is now in liquidation. Pay them, but we go ahead and pay the supplier everything. Then now the one who was assigned to comes back again, the government pays. So in essence we paid $34 million plus. If we do 30,604,000 and what, I stand to be corrected, because that's why we are here. It's because of this extra payment which has been done, and we want now to adduce who, we know who got this money, but we want to now first come from who. How did you authorize something when you had an instruction? From there now, who got the funds? Then now we proceed. That's why all these processes escalated. So tell us why you acted in such a manner as a ministry, as well as Ministry of Finance, because you were also aware that you had this document also told that these were assigned, as it were. So that is what we want to understand from the ministry's perspective. The rest is just the auxiliary things, and they are not compelling us to any issues, but we want to understand why such a decision was made between the two ministries, as it were. PSC budget, you have any answer? Then agriculture, please tell us why it transpired like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. As indicated, the Ministry of Finance did submit this matter to the Drug Enforcement Commission to facilitate for effective investigation, so that the matter can be conclusively, it can come to a conclusive end. However, based on the information that we have submitted, we wish to submit that, first of all, the committee may wish to note that the contract sum for Nyombo was $30.6 million, signed in June 2016. Subsequently, in September 2016, Nyombo gave a notice of assignment, which was sent to the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Finance, in which they clearly indicated that they had subrogated a total of $3.9 million of the $30.6 million. We do not have any other information in between, but if we knocked off, say, a $30.9 million from the 30, you would implicitly come to a total of $26 million. We are not sure what happened with any other amount. And then when you come to the item, we come to Appendix 3, or Appendix 2 first of all, as indicated by the Chair. The Ministry of Agriculture acknowledged acceptance of this subrogation and committed to pay Swiss Singapore the 3.9 out of the $30 million contract. And on Appendix 3, consequently, a payment was made of $300,000 million. And then when you come to Appendix 4, in which the Ministry of Agriculture is writing to the Treasury indicating what is owed to Nyombo. Allow me, if I may proceed to read. It says, please be advised, second paragraph of the letter dated, it's dated 11th November on top there, 2017, MOA/8/2/2, addressed to the Secretary to the Treasury. Paragraph 2 says, please be advised that the Ministry of Agriculture owes Nyombo Investments Limited the total sum of $22,900,702.23 in principal amount, and Neria Investments a total sum of $18,552,549 in interest amounts only. Neria Investments Limited has been paid the full principal amounts, while Nyombo Investments Limited, we have not concluded discussion on accrued interest on delayed payments. From this letter, Chair, clearly, what the Ministry of Agriculture is submitting is that what is owed at this point is $22.9 million in principal amount, which is far less than the contract sum of $30.9 million. And as indicated, if we had to assume that if we took out the 3.9 from the $30 million, ideally we would have come to $26 million. However, we are not sure what happened between the 26 and the 22. And then in the same letter, the Ministry of Agriculture goes on to indicate in the third paragraph, saying, further, be advised that the contract to Nyombo Investments Limited for the farming seasons 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 is subject of domiciliations as follows. Here there are two contracts to which agriculture is speaking to, which had domiciliations, and they stipulate domiciliations which are amounting to $29.8 million. Our reading of this minute is that one, agriculture is confirming that Nyombo is owed $22 million and not the $30 million, which was the contract sum for the 2016-2015 in 2016-2017 in principal amount only, and they further indicate that the principal amount is yet to be agreed upon. And they go further to indicate that there are also domiciliations of the contracts for Nyombo, which are two, amounting to $29 million. Then if we take you to the appendix, the next appendix that we have would be Appendix 11. Appendix 11, on the letter dated 11th September 2018, written by the Permanent Secretary Agriculture to the Secretary to Treasury, subject Nyombo Investments Limited in receivership, the company. Allow me, if I may read. It says reference is made to a letter NF/IDN/3/51.
Sorry, PF, it's just pause. Honorable Oluma, you have a burning question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the PS may take this committee at sea and all of us will be lost. Because, Mr. Chairman, the issue we need clarification from the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Agriculture is simple. We want them to tell this committee which officers, Mr. Chairman, despite knowing that they are not supposed to pay the 75 million .196 to Nyombo, which is coming to $3.6 million, but they went ahead and approved this payment. So when the PS is mentioning other figures, the committee will be at sea. So because we thought that this query maybe it will take us maybe 30-40 minutes if we get to the point. So, Mr. Chairman, maybe the PS can restrict herself to the issue of the $3.6 million, because, Mr. Chairman, despite them knowing, you have put it very plainly, Mr. Chairman, you didn't even go deeper. You have put it very plainly that despite them being aware that they are not supposed to pay the 3.6 million to Nyombo, they went ahead and made the recommendations to pay this money. So PS, help this committee just to understand which officers from Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Finance who worked together to allow this payment. Because I've read the letter by Attorney General already. He says the money, the 3.6, must be recovered from the officers who recommended this payment. And I've also read the DEC letter, which is saying, despite you reporting to DEC, you did not even give them any details. It was just a report. You didn't give them the details. I've got all the letters here. So if the PS, Minister of Finance and Minister of Agriculture, they can help this committee straight to the point. Which officers who authorized this payment, despite knowing that they were committing a crime?
Thank you, Honorable Alumai. Honorable Mwila, you are the hand.
Chair, I think you summarized your question,
yes.
And Honorable Mai has also mentioned. I think for us as a committee, first of all, we want to know why was this assignment of 3.6 million to Swiss Singapore ignored, and that all the money was paid to Nyombo. Before we can even say who did this, who signed what, I think between agriculture and finance, why was the assignment of receivables to Swiss Singapore ignored, with all the correspondence written in black and white and shared with all the responsible officers? Why was this not honored? I think that's a basic question we need to start with.
Thank you, Honorable Mwila. PS is straightforward. What we are trying to ascertain is maybe from a simplest perspective. Before your counsel comes in, here she was indicating to make a submission. Was a double payment done? Are you denying that the ministry didn't do a double payment for the same amount? That's what we want to ascertain. If it was not done, then now we can proceed now to look at what Honorable Mwila has asked. Because certainly why we are seated here, because 3.6 has been paid twice. That's why we are here, PS. The rest of the things now are just like Honorable Mwila is saying, will be supporting documentation. Was a double payment done? That is the question. If no, then you don't need to be here. If yes, then now why was it made, and why was the assignment of receivables ignored? That is just simple, in simple terms. There is a double payment. That's why we are sitting here to say why has the government suffered a detriment twice for a supply of once, in simple terms.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the guidance. Allow me to indicate that the response that I was submitting was building up for the understanding of the honorable members of the committee to answering the question. At this point, we wish to submit that it is uncertain that a double payment was made. Why we are submitting that, it's based on the documentation that we have submitted to the committee, which shows that one, the contract for 2016-2017 totaled $30.6 million in 2016. In the same year, in September 2016, Nyombo assigned a total of $3.9 million of the $30 million contract to Swiss Singapore. And further, exchange of information between Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Agriculture alludes to a principal amount owed to Nyombo far below the contract sum of 30 in the amount of $22 million. So, if you take out $22 million from the 30.6 million, you can effectively accommodate the 3.9 in that gap which remains. And then further, correspondence between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Agriculture as submitted to the committee shows that the liquidation to the bonds liquidated debt owed to Nyombo in the principal amount of $22 million only, and the $12 million, which took the amount to $35 million, was on account of interest which had accrued on two contracts, one of which was the 2016/2017 and the 2015/2016. So with the documentation that that is available and which we have submitted to the committee, I think from the...
So PS, we hear you very clearly. There's a letter, honorable colleagues, for 11th January from the Secretary to Treasury addressing the Attorney General, Mr. Muliro D. Kabesha. Second paragraph. I'll just go to second paragraph. This letter is in line with guidance provided by your office on the 16th October 2023 that the payment of balance to Nyombo Investment did not absolve government's liability to Swiss Singapore, and that the funds should be recovered from Nyombo Investment and the payment be made to Swiss Singapore. So why are we recovering the funds if there is no double payment? Because then there's no liability, like you are saying. 30 million less 22 million less 3.6 million, 3.9, they paid 362 whatever, $325,000. It will accommodate. So why then are we being advised to recover from Nyombo if there is no double payment? Why is the Attorney General telling us recover these funds? And now ST is simply quoting what the Attorney General advised to say, let's go ahead and pay and recover our money from Nyombo, in which we are going to pay Swiss Singapore. But before that, I want our Auditor General to just come in and clarify, because all the correspondences why we are here, that's why I says why are we here, it's because of the double payment. And this is what the ST is stating. So if it was just a date, we just clear them and forget. Then we're out zero. We've extinguished our liability as government. So that's why we're trying to now dispel what the PS is saying, to say we can't ascertain an overpayment, which I think for me, and an Auditor General maybe can comment before we proceed.
Thank you, Chair. It's exactly as you put it, because there are several correspondences from the Ministry itself to DEC, highlighting the events of issues and the issue of the 3.6 million. And also there's a correspondence, also the one you indicated from the Ministry to the Attorney General, indicating the issue of recovering 3.6 million from Nyombo. So it's a grey matter. You can see clearly from the correspondences that the issue of being referred to of recovering 3.6 million from Nyombo, which was stated to be erroneously paid.
Maybe let's also hear from the supplier, because we're saying Mr. Minesh. Yes, sir. Yeah, help us understand the contract you had with. Of course, you are the supplier who was giving product to Nyombo. The contract sum you had with Nyombo to supply them was how much, and you also supplied them with goods worth how much, because we want to ascertain if it was 22 million, the principal, and your money was within 22 million, then we paid the $3.6 million. So maybe you can help us understand. Then honorable members, you come in. Honorable Vice Chair, you come in after the submission. You can proceed.
Our supply to Niombo was for approximate around $10 million, and Niombo that time had larger receivables from the government, but the unassigned amount was only up to $4 million. That's what they assigned to us. So we also have some bad debts in our books which was still not recovered from Niombo, which was the follow-up was going on parallelly. But what we requested government to pay is the amount which was legitimately assigned to us. So our contract with Niombo is much more higher than $4 million. Out of that 3.9 something assignment we got, government paid us 300,000, and later on the second amount was paid, lately 3.6 something. So what Niombo owed us is higher than what assignment we received, but assignment to us was only done for 3.9 million, and we received that much amount only from the government in total last 8 years.
So in essence what it entails, they had an agreement with them, probably another supplier, to give them this and all that, but in totality the contract was $30 million. Because what we're trying to ascertain, PS, in clear terms, is that there's an overpayment.
So one point.
Yes, please proceed.
So the government overall contract, of course we were not the alone supplier, so there were banks also, or there may be other suppliers. That's how the government contract with Niombo was even much larger than the $10 million. That's the background. Sure.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. If you go to page 3 of the PS submission, I just want to have an understanding from her. However, on 21st December 2017, paragraph 2, contrary to the assignment notification, Niombo Investment Limited, having completed its contractual obligation, wrote to the Minister of Agriculture requesting full payment of the contract sum of 30 million plus without deduction of the amount assigned to ABGTL. Subsequently, in July 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture, with the approval of the Permanent Secretary, proceeded to pay Niombo Investment Limited the full contract amount, thereby disregarding the obligation to withhold and settle 3 million plus direct with SSOEL. So now there's the part I'm looking at. After that communication of Niombo to the ministry went ahead to pay, and in this submission is stating that the full contract amount, which one is the full contract amount? Isn't it the 30 million? 30 million. But in her oral submission, she's saying that we don't know what happened. We know of the 3 million. Is it 30? There are a lot of figures involved. The 3.9 million, and then the difference, we don't know what happened in between. But in her submission, it's very clear that the amount which was paid to Niombo Limited, it was the full contract amount. That's a submission from the PS. So maybe you can be guided, PS.
Thank you. Before PS comes in, and also Honorable Kambita, I think Minister of Agriculture tell us what really transpired. You should know the contract amount. You should know what was within when you are receiving this assignment of receivables from Niombo, you knew the contract amount, and when they performed and whatever finished as submitted by the PS, you knew the contract amount now and what was paid, because we're just trying to ascertain. There's definitely a double payment of 3.6 which went to Niombo and we've not recovered, and now we subsequently paid now the actual owner of the money, which was this notice of assignment. So maybe agriculture, because we'll be going round circles, I want agriculture, you tell us what really you should have the documentation. Then now PS will come through with Honorable Sabawa's question, and then we proceed with questioning with Honorable Kambita. So agriculture, tell us what transpired really, because we just want to know What we are ascertaining is a double payment, which is there. Because for Attorney General to come in for these recoveries to be proposed and all that, and all these things to be escalated, if there was no double payment PS, why have we gone to DC? Why have we? Certainly, then PS, you are drawing us back, because then we shouldn't be here if there is no double payment. Certainly, because then we shouldn't even write to DC for what? But certainly there's a double payment of a 3.6. That's why we are seated here. That's why we want Agriculture to tell us what transpired, and we are able, if we're able to ascertain, then we give a recommendation as a committee. Then we close this matter. But we want to know, as it were. So Agriculture, tell us what transpired. Then, honorable colleagues, you come through. Let's hear from Agriculture.
Sorry for interruption. Remember in my submission I said the PS may take us at sea. This is where we are now. So if we proceed to allow Agriculture to before she can clarify her position, then we will get deeper in the waters. Because she's saying there was no double payment. She's now doubting it. So now we are confused as a committee, because as you have rightly put it, Mr. Chairman, Attorney General wrote, ST wrote, DEC have written for the recovery. The PS is doubting whether there was double payment. So she must make a position. Was there a double payment or not? So that maybe we are dealing with somebody who is not aware of this issue. Because definitely, Chairman, all the documentation before us are indicating to a double payment, and this is why Attorney General is saying, can you recover the $3.6 million from the officers who allowed this payment? Now the PS is doubting that maybe there was no double payment. So maybe the PS can clarify whether there was double payment or not, so that we can proceed in that order.
Thank you, Honorable Lumai. Why I want Agriculture first are the owners. They are the ones who received information before the Ministry of Finance. So that's why I want them to give us what transpired, if they are not aware, because Ministry of Agriculture are the custodian of this contract. They are the custodian of first-hand information of this notice of assignment. Then it was taken to the Ministry of Finance. They are the receiving entity to receive this aforesaid product. They are the ones to tell the Ministry of Finance they've finished the contract obligation. Now we want money to pay them. Ministry of Finance cannot react before Ministry of Agriculture does the documentation. So we want to hear from Agriculture. When Agriculture submits, then honorable colleagues, we can proceed.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Dak, I thought I guided.
Chair, sorry.
You can proceed.
Chair, these are legacy matters. So I thought it would be important that the substantive office bearers by that time, because I'm seeing these officers are laboring, they can't give us defined responses here, Chair. There's nothing that we're getting from them. Basically, because these are legacy matters, is it not prudent that we can go further, Chairman? Like the way we have called the suppliers here, why is it that we haven't called the substantive officers who are there when these things were happening? Exactly, because we are pushing an agenda that the two permanent secretaries who are here are not able to give us befitting responses. So, Chair, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mwile. I've been skipping Honorable Kambita. I thought I gave guidance, but go ahead then, Honorable Kambita. I hope it's not a question. Honorable Mwile can proceed.
You know, Chair, I think having heard the submission from Honorable Dak, you see why we are belaboring, there is what I can call a denial by the current office bearers, as we have heard just now. So before we can even now start summoning those who were there, we need to first of all agree if there is a problem indeed. Yeah, and that is what we want to hear. And that's what we want to hear from the current office bearers. Before we start summoning back and back and back and back, let's agree first of all what is on the table. Is there a problem? based on the documentation, as we are saying, there was a double payment. And let's have that confirmation first of all, or denial in black and white from the people that we have on the table. Then we will know how to proceed.
Thank you. Honorable Committee, is it in the same line?
No, let me suggest something in a systematic way. Auditor General is here as our permanent witness. Auditor General raised this query in their report, and it has found itself in the report. Before it found itself in the report, Auditor General had an audience with the ministry, which is complemented with accountants and everybody. And the management letter and all these things were discussed. Finally, it found itself in the report. So it is not appropriate that PS now can submit to the contrary. So the fact that this found itself in the report, the PS is supposed to be responding to the query in the report, which indicates that there was an overpayment. And the substantive evidence which has been adduced proving that this actually was an overpayment, unless we dispute that fact. So if this is not disputed, we move to the next step. Now that there was an overpayment, the blame still goes back to the ministry, because the ministry, that is the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is the one that was making the payment, having full knowledge of the fact that there was an assignment. And Ministry of Agriculture is appropriately submitting that we actually told them that there is this issue. So see, Ministry of Agriculture is only requesting Ministry of Finance to pay on their behalf. What Ministry of Finance pays is now what the Ministry of Agriculture will just get informed about. So here, it all boils down to Ministry of Finance, as in what they actually did to liquidate this outstanding amount. Thank you. I think this is where we are. So Ministry of Finance has to answer questions as to why they overpaid.
Thank you.
Then we'll find who overpaid.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. I do get your submissions, and Honorable Daka will get your submission. Before I think we proceed, we'll have a position, but I want us to hear from the Minister of Agriculture in terms of contracts. Then Honorable Kambita, very also valuable, Honorable Mwila. Then we now, because I've already told the PS, if there is no double payment, we shouldn't be here. Then what are we doing? We shouldn't be here. So what, and that's why I asked Auditor General, give us a position. And Auditor General has given us a position. Okay? So now we want to hear from Agriculture. Then I will revert back and have now a basis that yes, there's a problem. That's why we're here. Like Honorable Kambita said, there was a management letter and PS budget. This is your submission to the committee, which culminated in us calling for all these people to come, because you said the one Honorable Sabah was reading, that is your submission. Okay? And the last paragraph is very clear. The Ministry of Agriculture, with the approval of the Permanent Secretary, proceeded to pay Nyombo Investment the full contract amount, thereby disregarding the obligation of withholding. So certainly there's a double payment. Okay? So Agriculture, you can proceed and tell us a position so that we can have a position. So acting PS administration, give us a position.
Thank you so much, Chairperson and the honorable members. As earlier submitted on the letter 11th December 2017, Chair, we had written to Finance and indicated that yes, there's an amount which was assigned to those institutions, and Swiss Singapore was one of the institutions.
So may I want you to comment on the contract. Was everything paid by the ministry disregarding the 3.9? That's what we just want to ascertain. That letter, I've seen it. Yeah.
First of all, let's define the contract amount. Once we have defined that and we are all agreed, then we are good to go. I submit.
So Agriculture, you can proceed.
Chair, thank you for your guidance. The contract amount which was signed on 6th June 2016, on 10th June, Chair, sorry, 2016, the amount was, the total amount was 30,608,037.37 US dollars. Sorry?
Yes, yes, Acting PS, you can proceed.
Therefore, Chair, I wanted to elaborate that there's a letter which was written to PS Finance by Nyombo Investment, which was not copied to Ministry of Agriculture, where they gave instructions or where they demanded that they be paid the 35,718,222,000 US dollars. And this letter was not copied to Ministry of Agriculture, Chair. Further, on a minute dated 4th April 2018, Chair, the ST wrote to PS Agriculture requesting for further information, where the ST, the third paragraph, Chair, on the letter dated 4th April 2018, the ST indicated that we wish to advise that the debt dismantling instruments have since been issued as follows. The table there, Nyombo Investment, $35,718,222 million, and appropriated as EcoBank, 32 million, Standard Chartered Bank, 3 million.
That phone call or whatever that is. Yes, proceed.
Yes, Chair, I was indicating that after the data December,
Yes.
Nyombo Investment wrote straight to the Minister of Finance, and they did not copy Minister of Finance, where they were demanding that they be paid the full amount.
Just proceed, repeat your statement.
Chair, I'm indicating that on the letter dated 21st December 2017, Nyombo Investment wrote to Minister of Finance to demand that they be paid the amount of $35,718,227 million. And this letter, Chair, was not copied to Minister of Agriculture. Then on the letter dated 4th April 2018, Chair, the ST in paragraph 3 confirmed to PS Minister of Agriculture that we wish to advise that the debt dismantling instruments have since been issued as follows, where Nyombo Investment was paid $35,718,225 million and appropriated as EcoBank, 32 million, Standard Chartered Bank.
You can even just end there.
3 million, Chair.
You can end there, Acting PS. PS budget, now you are confusing us. And why I'm saying why you are confusing, and now not only confusing, you are now misleading us as a committee. In your management letter, I'm now reverting back where it started from. From the statement he has read, when the Minister of, Auditor General was auditing Head 21, a payment of $35,700,000 was done to Nyombo directly. And that $35 million was inclusive of a 3.6 million. That's why we're here. That's why in your management, you say management acknowledges auditor's recommendation and wish to state that the Minister of Finance and National Planning engaged Drug Enforcement Commission for assistance to recover funds from Nyombo Investment. That is your response as a ministry. So that's why we're sitting, we are trying to ascertain, evidently, if there was no overpayment, we could have not engaged the DEC to help you recover from Nyombo. Further to that, Attorney General says, if the government fails to recover money from Nyombo, it should go now for the people who authorized this payment. I hope we are now on the firm ground. That is where we are at. 35,718,000 was paid directly by Nyombo coming to the Ministry of Finance, writing a letter, not copying the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Finance acted on it, made the payment, as it were. That's why we're here. Honorable Wamnima, and I just wanted to ascertain that. So, PS, we agree that is a position. PS budget, before they come in, we agree that is a position. That's why we're here.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to indicate that following our appearance before this committee, in which the responses were found, it was found necessary that we reappear with our counterparts from the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Finance, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, decided to undertake further interrogation of the matter to ascertain the double payment. And I wish to submit that our position as Treasury is as the position that had been stated through the Secretary to Treasury's letter in his two letters of June 3rd June 2024 and to the Attorney General, Appendix 13 and 14, and his letter to the Drug Enforcement Commission dated 3rd June 2024 that this matter be effectively investigated. And the Chair, with the documentation that we have submitted, it clearly seems to require effective investigation. While we have correspondences which talk about a double payment, as we have submitted to the committee, contrary to what is under para 19.3 on the audit finding, allow me to quote the paragraph that was read by the Honorable, which says, however, on 21st December 2017, contrary to the assignment notification, Nyombo Investment Limited, having completed its contractual obligations, wrote to the Ministry of Agriculture requesting full payment of the contract sum of $30,608,37.37 without deduction of the amount assigned to ABGTL. Subsequently, in July 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture, with approval of the Permanent Secretary, proceeded to pay Nyombo Investments Limited the full contract amount, thereby disregarding the obligation to withhold and settle $3,659,192.30 directly to Swiss Singapore.
So PS, maybe from your perspective, you are not sure. Why I'm asking you to confirm or not confirm, because you've got verbatim. And that's why I'm saying you should give us your position if you are not sure that this was done, or if you are disputing that there was no double payment. Then now for us we escalate it from there. That is what we want to ascertain, because we've looked at the documentation, we've read it even before this committee and what you submitted, and we can ascertain that is a double payment. So now you are our custodian, you are the treasury. So we want, just because what we are now going to escalate to is, we want to look for that transfer detail, the breakdown. We have to call the directors for Nyombo, even in liquidation. We subpoena that they come here and tell us what received, what are the components and what are the breakdowns, and probably we can also invite the ST to come, and also the Attorney General to come with his team, so that we close this matter effectively, because we want to see where the gaps are. If there is no that overpayment, PS, we can't be here. Certainly we can't be here to start pushing recover from who, because which means the government did pay its obligation to the supplier. I think that's where that's how it looks, unless otherwise, because the treasury is not sure if the payment, if there was a double payment. Okay, Honorable, what's a simple test?
Chair.
Honorable Aminu.
Chair, before Honorable Daka comes in, I think this is a query because of the double payment. That's why it's a query. If your payments, but what I want to know, Chair, who paid? Who authorized this payment at the Ministry of Finance? In terms of the office bearers, who authorized it?
Thank you. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chair. I want to. What is it? What's his name, Chair?
Manish.
Representing who?
Manish is Swiss Singapore.
Oh, Swiss
Now,
Singapore.
called, what's a new company called? Abia?
The previous name of the company was Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprises Pte Limited. That's the company's earlier name. It was changed lately to Aditya Birla Global Trading Singapore Pte Limited.
Chair, Swiss Singapore.
Yeah, SSOE and Swiss, that's what people now they call
that
us
was
ABC.
contracted. We actually restrict ourselves to what was contracted. Chair, there's a simple test here, Chair. Swiss Singapore is represented from, and he has indicated that they got a payment, Chair, from government as well, I presume, not from Nyombo Investment. So if the government paid in full to Nyombo Investment, and he also got part of his payment from government, Chairman, it's obvious that there's a double payment here. There are no two ways about it. We just have to now go down to who authorized and paid the payment. This is a simple thing, Chairman. Why are we actually beating the bush here? Because he's confirmed that he received the payment from government, and the letters here indicate that government paid in Nyombo Investment a full contract amount to disregard the assignment that was in place. So this is a straightforward, out of common sense, Chairman. There is a double payment here. I don't understand why we are belaboring here.
Thank you. Let me allow Honorable Mukumbi, then Honorable Mwila, then Honorable
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask the PSC whether she was in the ministry at the time, not necessarily as controlling officer, but probably maybe another position. Are you very familiar with this transaction? Submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mwila.
Chair, I think as we have established, the issue of double payment is there. The question we have asked is why was it done? If the witness is unable to answer, let them just say we are not able to give an answer, because they should not take us round. If they have an answer to why, they give us. If they don't have, let them say, then we take a position.
Thank you. How many questions? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chair, there's one question.
Yes.
There is no other question. There is one question. Can the witness answer the question?
Thank you, Honorable Kambita. In abeyance, just hold. You ask your question. PS, there's a question from Honorable Wamnyima, and I think Honorable Mukumbi and Honorable Mwila. Then we can start winding up. Who paid? Were you in the ministry? PS.
Chair, allow me to, I'll start with the question of whether I was in the ministry. Maybe a clarification regarding which payment, because there was a payment done to Swiss Singapore in
35 million.
35 million, which was done in 2018.
Which was paid to Nyombo.
In 2018 through the bonds.
Yes.
Yes, I was in the ministry. But But
you were in the ministry. What position were you having in the ministry?
At that point, I was director budget.
Okay. Okay.
However, this was a bond issuance.
Yes. Yes. So, PS, you are familiar with the payment?
The issue was done through bond issuances.
Yes.
So bond issuances were being undertaken through the Investment and Debt Management Office.
IDM. But what we're saying, you are familiar with the payment. What is important is the 35 million was paid through bonds.
Yes.
Period. And you are familiar.
I'm not familiar. I was not involved in it. So allow me to indicate that the submissions, Chair, that we are making are based on the documentation that we have before us. And to just indicate that the Treasury, as custodian of public funds, has all the interest to ensure that there's prudence with regard to the management and utilization of public funds. It may seem, Chair, that the committee is being waylaid on the question, but that is simply on account of the fact that we have found ourselves in a situation where the Treasury, having considered this matter, had requested or decided, with no objection from the Attorney General, to ensure that this matter goes through thorough investigation. And if the committee may wish to look at the additional documentation which we have presented, the additional documentation actually speaks further to the need for a thorough investigation to be concluded, because when we talk about full contract sum in line with the documentation laid before you was 30.6. Principal amount paid to Niombo was $22 million. What takes the amount to $35 million is interest on 2 contracts as indicated by the Ministry of Agriculture. So consequently, out of the $30.6 million contract, one can easily come to the conclusion that only 22 million of the 30 was paid. So when you talk about and that's what now gives us, takes us back to...
Let me cut you short. We do get your submission, and PS is a notorious fact that if the principal amount, get me right, is 22 million, their assignment of receivable is in the 22 million. It's just as simple as that. Because if they are saying their contract was $10 million with them, you heard the submission. Their contract with Niombo on their part as Swiss was $10 million, and what was assigned was $3.9 million. Okay, we don't know where this other. Remember, you even submitted the other contracts to bring that to that $30 million. So if my contract, my principal is $22 million, then where is the 3.6 million coming from, PS? So we can adduce that if specific performance was done, they've paid their entire amount, whatever, because you're saying, even in your submission, your own submission, signed by yourself here, which I have, you are saying, that's why we've taken it to DEC, because of the aforesaid. ST is saying the same. So we do ascertain that there's a double payment. I'll allow you to speak, but let Honorable Kambita speak. Then we start to have position. Honorable Kambita.
Chairman, I'm looking at the logical. I mean, the way the events fell in. I understand the situation in which the PS is found herself, because she has assumed a position of a controlling officer, and these events were happening before she took this position. The query she's responding to has a series of issues, including correspondences and so on, which cannot be reconciled by us just in a room like this. And her submission, which we should take, that's why she's our witness here, her submission is that this matter can only be conclusively... Allow me to finish.
Allow the member to finish, Honorable Nkumbi.
Everyone has got their own position. Yes. There is one stakeholder, and that's the reason why I'm bringing in this issue, which is very important to conclude this matter. The DEC. The DEC is very important in concluding this matter, because there's an element of what is being shown here as the contract amounts, the issue that the auditors have raised, including the responses that have been given. Yes, clearly here, there was an overpayment. It's undisputable. We agree this. But we need those who investigated this matter to the end to also put in a word. the committee will be concluded.
Honorable Kambita, not to cut you short, this thing is in the pipeline of investigation, so there is no conclusive. What we wanted to ascertain and what we want to agree on the table is an overpayment, which PS is saying there is no overpayment. There needs to be an investigation, so that now we can ascertain the overpayment on what other evidence has emanated. But we are saying even if there will be an investigation and overpayment is there, that is the position of the committee, and that's what we are agreeing on, that there is an overpayment. Because if there is no overpayment, why is DEC coming in? Why was the PS agreeing to this effect in the management letter to say there was an overpayment? And we've also told DEC to investigate. It's as simple as that. That's what I'm saying. This is like Honorable Daka and Honorable Wamnyima are saying, it's a notorious fact. PS is an overpayment. And now we wanted to ascertain how this was done with this assignment of receivable. That's why they were asking who paid, who instituted this payment of these bonds, because there was an assignment of receivables. So government has suffered twice. Let me allow your legal counsel to say something. She's been wanting to say something. Please, madam, you can introduce yourself and proceed to make your submission as a counsel. There are so many counsels in this committee. You can proceed. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is an attempt to establish whether there is a double payment or not. My starting point will be the contract price of 30 million, 30.6 to be precise. And then subsequently there was a deed of assignment which was communicated to both ministries, Ministry of Agriculture as well as Ministry of Finance. At the point that the deed of assignment was being communicated, the amounts in question that were owed to Nyombo relating to the farming season 2016-2017 were still standing at 30.6, which was the actual contract price. So at the time the amount was still 30.6. We were informed of a deed of assignment to the tune of 3.9. So this 3.9 ought to have been deducted from the 30 million, bringing the amount down to about 26 million kwacha, thereabouts. The 3.9 million kwacha, yes, the 3.9 million kwacha that was subrogated or assigned to Swiss Singapore, at least a 300,000 kwacha approximately, dollars, was paid against this subrogated amount, leaving a balance of about 3.6. Yes, but we need to understand the effect of a deed of assignment. When there is issuance of a deed of assignment, its effects takes place when the deed of assignment has been effectively communicated by the then creditor to the debtor with the knowledge of the new assignee in this particular instance. So this deed of assignment was effectively communicated to the ministry, meaning that for us to have paid the $300,000 that we paid against the 3.9 that was fabricated, we were alive to the fact that there are now two different creditors as a result of the 30 million kwacha contract. My apologies, $30 million contract. Now at that point there were two different creditors. Yes. That being said, Chair, the $29 million, yes, that now was Nyombo's debt. Because remember at this point we are alive to the fact that there are two different creditors. Yes. So when we are requesting the Ministry of Agriculture to give us a position of the amount that Ministry of Agriculture then owes Nyombo, this amount that is availed to us is an amount that is specifically owed to Nyombo because of the presence of the deed of assignment. Yes. By law, by operation of law, there are two different creditors. Yes. That having been the case, prior to the Ministry of Finance redeeming the debt that was owed to Nyombo of 35 million kwacha through issuance of bonds, correspondence on record will show that the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Agriculture had deliberations and agreed on the amount that was owed to Nyombo. In this particular instance, we're only referring to Nyombo, not the other creditor who is now then the assignee. So the amount that was owed to Nyombo, aside from the 3.9, now has reduced to 26. When we had conferred with our counterparts on the other side, it was established that then the principal amount that was owed to Nyombo by the Ministry of Agriculture was at 22 million. Allow me to make an assumption. For this amount to have reduced from 26 to 22, we ought to have paid something against the 26 that was owed to Nyombo. Chair, like I said, allow me to make an assumption in this particular instance. Yes, so which means that... No, it's not, because we don't have documentation. There's a gap there. Yes, sir.
Proceed.
Yes. So now from the 26 million, Ministry of Agriculture confirmed that there's a 22 million kwacha that is owed to Nyombo Investment. In principle, they were very precise in their letter, dated I think 11th November. They said the 22 million was owed to Nyombo in principle. So that having been the case, they went further to inform us that of the 35 million kwacha, which was an aggregate in their view that was owed to Nyombo, 22 was the principal amount, and the 12 million was in interest. That relates to two different farming seasons. So when you add the 22 million plus the 12 million in interest, we are going to get to $35 million. We are going to get to $25 million. Remember that
35
million.
Yes.
$35 million. Remember that at this point we are only concerned about monies owed to Nyombo. So at this point 35 million kwacha is the money that is purely owed to Nyombo, because 22 of that amount is principal and 12 is interest. Allow me to give a different position. If a double payment was to have taken place, the event or circumstances under which a double payment would have taken, this 22 million, if this 22 million was the amount that was owed in principle to Nyombo, and then at that point, then Nyombo gives an assignment or subrogates the debt to Swiss Singapore, then we would have had to deduct from this 22 million a 3.9.
No, 3.6, because 300 was already paid.
No. I'm saying at inception.
Okay, yes, at inception.
Yes, sir. So at inception, if the principal amount that was owed to Nyombo was 22 million, and then at this point, that's when the deed of assignment was communicated. It would have meant at this point that we were owing Nyombo 22 million. We needed to have reduced our debt to Nyombo by the 3.9. If we had reduced our debt to Nyombo by 3.9, then our debt to Nyombo would have been less. Meaning it would have been less than 22. So when you add the 22 and some approximation of an interest, obviously the amount wouldn't get to 35. If we subsequently paid 35 million, then it would have meant that 35 million was inclusive of Swiss Singapore's 3.9. Yes, which is not the position here, because the 3.9 was
That's
deducted.
That's an assumption.
No,
because there's no evidence to that. Council.
No, the evidence is there. Sorry, Chair. The evidence here that I'm relying on. Yes, through the submissions themselves, sir. Through the submissions themselves, I'm relying on the fact that 3.9 was deducted from 30 because that's the notice of assignment. So we are not working on assumptions. The other one was a hypothetical. Yes, I was just explaining in the event that yes. So currently, yes. So that was just hypothetical. So from what we gather, from what I gather here, is that it would have been an overpayment if the deed of assignment was issued when the debt was at 22, and we subsequently pay Nyombo 35 million.
No, now, Council, you are misleading us. Yes, let me you can switch off your mic. I wanted to give you leeway to make your submission. We do get your submission. PS, we've read submission of your council, and that's why earlier I said, PS, do not mislead us as a committee, because now you are misleading us. In your earlier submission, it is telling us something. In your submission today, there is another different position. So what I want to ask you, PS, is either you withdraw your earlier statement, paragraph 19, which you came and submitted before this honorable committee, and if you are telling us this what you submitted today, that's now your submission, then we'll have now to, like I guided earlier, we'll have to go now the ST to come, the Attorney General to come, DEC for me at the tail end, because they're not, they're just doing their investigation now, but you are paying figures, and these figures are emanating from the Ministry of Finance. Even if they come, we can call them to come, but it won't suffice. They'll tell us, no, it's under investigation, it ought to get back and stuff like that. But certainly if PS, I just give you a simple example. On September 11, I want you to go to these breakdowns and check if they're giving you 35 million. It won't. 11 September 2018. This does not give you 35 million. You see. So if we revert back, we do get all these submissions, but certainly there is an overpayment, which that's why we are seated here, double payment actually of the same amount. That's why we are seated here, and I can assure 100% that these accountants can't get it wrong. There is an overpayment. That's why we are sitting here. So, honorable colleagues, I think we have a position for this meeting. We'll have to escalate it further, because definitely the PS is not sure of their position of the payments which were made, but us, we can ascertain from what we have that there is a double payment, and that's why we are seated here. So, Honorable Mai, what's your submission before I close the meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, before we close the meeting, it must be put on record, Mr. Chairman, that Ministry of Agriculture, PS, they have clearly submitted that the 12th December, the 21 December 2017 letter by Nyombo to Ministry of Finance for this payment was never copied to Ministry of Agriculture. And Mr. Chairman, that must be on record, because we thought that Ministry of Agriculture was involved at some point, but their submission is very clear that the 12th December 2017 letter to Ministry of Finance to make this payment, Agriculture was not even aware. They are not copied. So even as we invited them to come and appear before this committee, it is like they are to see also, they are wondering what is happening in this room. And also, Mr. Chairman, what is also on the record? What is on the record, Mr. Chairman? The letter by DEC to Ministry of Finance, they are saying they could not proceed with investigations because documents were not submitted. So where DEC is seated, they are still waiting for documentation from Ministry of Finance. So I wanted to put it on record that Agriculture was not aware, were not copied, the 21st December 2017 letter. DEC, Mr. Chairman, they are also very clear that they could not proceed with investigations because the Ministry of Finance did not furnish them with details for them to investigate. So even as we call for another meeting, I think it must be on record that DEC is not investigating this matter because documentation hasn't been submitted to them. So
that's also an assumption.
It's here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Honorable, we hear you.
No, Mr. Chairman, You know, the people of Chavuma like speaking with facts. The letter by DC is here. Can I read it, Mr. Chairman?
From DC?
Yes, from DEC.
Yes, you can proceed.
Yeah, so this was signed by Mr. Nason Banda. We wish to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated the 3rd June 2024 with reference to numbers here whose contents are duly noted. Kindly be advised that the Commission will immediately institute investigations into the matter. Note that attachments were not enclosed with your correspondence. So they're still waiting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's why I said there's no need even for us to call them. They're in abeyance. So, PS, Auditor General wants to clarify something. Just a question for you for your answer, then you can proceed. Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe perhaps PS from Agriculture. If you look at the correspondence for 11 September 2018, the figures broken down there, which adds up to 29, are they included in the $35 million? I think, or they are separate figures. I think if we establish that, I think we'll have a point to move forward also. The letter dated 11 September 2018.
11 September, Director of Finance of PS is a 29 million. Council is saying they're not included. Agriculture, you can proceed. They're not. So that they need time, I think. They need time. PSC budget, I want you to withdraw your submission. This paragraph, you'll have to withdraw it with what you've submitted today. If you don't withdraw it, then this one you are the one you should, because the honorable colleagues, it is contradicting this one and the one she earlier submitted. So one is misleading, which should be withdrawn by the PS. Then we either, if we are sitting on the new one which is submitted, because that's one she's saying she's got evidence. But again, from the management letter, it's misleading because PS again acknowledged in the management letter, which was issued by the Auditor General, that she agreed with the submission of Auditor General. That's why they had written to the Ministry of DEC. I have this one which you wrote, PS. You wrote to the Auditor General. I have it with your signature, and on page there are no pages, but on this aforesaid matter you did write, management acknowledges Auditor General's recommendation and wishes to state that the Ministry of Finance and National Planning engage the Drug Enforcement Commission for assistance to recover government funds. To recover. Why are we recovering? It's a double payment. If there's no double payment, why should we recover? Unless there are other funds. But then it suffice to say that what I want is PSU to substantiate which submission is it that we should get as a committee. The one which you did to say Ministry of Agriculture overlooked and paid the entire amount. This is your earlier submission when you came before this committee. And today, you've come with now a different submission. Because I don't want this committee to be misled, this one, which now you've changed your submission to that effect on that particular paragraph. So I don't know which one we want you, either you withdraw one which we give you back and we say this is now your, because these issues have got verbatim, and tomorrow you say no, we picked 19 which stated this, but why are we looking at the other one? So that's what I'm asking the PS budget to tell this committee which one we should adopt as your submission. PS. Okay, Honorable Daka.
And again, Chair, we are just getting figures and interest. We are just being told that there was an interest of $12 million. There is not we don't have a supportive documentation as to how they computed the aforementioned interest, Chairman. So we cannot just be looking at figures. How justifiable is this same interest? Is it in tandem with the contractual provision of what they agreed to? So we cannot just be told to say $12 million. This was the principal amount. They have to be supported by the contract that they signed. As well, the interest, the derived interest share has to be supported again by the terms and conditions of a contract, and the computation should be very clear and submitted before this committee. We cannot just be getting figures like that, Chairman. I submit.
Honorable Kambita. Honorable Daga, switch off your mic.
I think that's a comment I wanted to make much earlier to this conversation. Let the overpayment not hide in the statement of the word interest, because this committee is alive to the fact that most of the government contracts have suffered such kind of abuse of the interest, and whenever an overpayment is made or whenever fraud is actually happened, it has been the word interest that has been used. So even where interest appears, we are alive to the fact that government sometimes delays to make payments. They are well stated in the contracts, and sometimes, of course, it has been. This is for your information. Sometimes the acts of fraud have been actually performed at the time of drafting the contracts, where unfavorable terms have been put in the contracts to favor the contractor as opposed to the government. So with this, if you are to adduce the evidence to say that, look, the amount that can't be explained here is interest, it must be substantiated. And you've got a complement of accountants who must demonstrate that to the committee, without which we can't admit such kind of submission. PS.
Thank you. I think it's straightforward. PS is a custodian of these treasury things and issues. She understands issues of LIBOR. She was telling us last time, compound interest and all that. So she knows how to do those computations to support and document the basis for this contract. And I think what was also in special conditions in the contract, they should have basis on how it was calculated and arrived to, so that members can be put to speed. PS. So PS, for me, suffice to say that is which one is your submission, which we should adopt, because the area paragraph 919 is punctured by yourselves. You can proceed, PS.
Thank you, Chair. Allow me to just make a comment. We take note of the honourable member's submission. To start with, for example, the 12.8 million interest, it is important to note that according to the correspondence from the Ministry of Agriculture, it relates to two contracts, 2015, 2016, and 2016 and 2017. Coming back to our submission, Chair, I wish to submit that at the time the Ministry appeared before the committee, we did make the submission that the Treasury had submitted the matter to be investigated, and that was based on an understanding that there had been a double payment. However, following the committee's directive that we reappear before this committee alongside the Ministry of Agriculture, Chair, what has come to the fore is that we have found additional information which relates to this same matter, and following the additional information that has come to the fore and based on the tabulation therein, we have found ourselves noting that there is a probability that there was no double payment. Notwithstanding that, the Ministry has not withdrawn any investigation and shall not withdraw the requirement for this matter to be fully investigated by the Drug Enforcement Commission, so that we can get to the conclusive end of this matter because it is in the interest of the Ministry of Finance and National Planning as the custodian of public funds. Chair, consequently, we submitted our memorandum today. Thank you.
PS, we do get your submission. Sorry, I was slightly distracted. Auditor General was whispering something. What we are settling is our two submissions. Which one is your submission? The earlier paragraph 19, which was read by Honorable Sabah, or the one today? On this particular paragraph, not on everything, just on Nyombo, because this has got contra submission. So we want to ascertain if you can withdraw this, then we insert this new one on this particular paragraph as your submission. I think that's what I want to ascertain. The rest stands, but just on this particular item, is this your new submission, so that we can forego the earlier submission, because it's on verbatim that this was your submission. So that even when moving forward, when we call other witnesses to come to appear with you, we take this as your submission, so that this one can be put aside. I think that's what we want to ascertain, because it will have consequences. Again, they will read this again and again read this, then now the committee will be at sea. So that's what we want you to tell us, then we can make progress.
The Chair, in view of the additional information that we have, we submit, we make today's submission as our submission, and as indicated, you may wish to note that the current submission has just enhanced what we have provided in view of the new information that has come to the fore, and as indicated, the matter still continues under investigation. Thank you.
So withdraw the earlier submission. That's what I want you to do on the particular matter, and this today be your submission. The rest of the investigation, it will proceed. We are not saying it shouldn't proceed.
Thank you, Chair. We withdraw the earlier submission and replace it with today's submission. Thank you.
Thank you, PS. PS with Council, before we close, I just want you to the same letter, let me have that, Auditor General, the same letter on the 18th. I just want you to contextualize and tell us the meaning of the last paragraph. Go to the last paragraph. Before the last paragraph, you start from where it says however, the domiciliation, you've seen that one? Yeah, also proceed. Maybe Council, you can read that. Sorry?
May I start with 4?
Yes.
Request for information on outstanding liabilities owed to Nyombo Investment Limited and Neria Investment Limited.
Sorry, which, no. The 11th September 2018. The letter to Mr. Fredson K. Amba by the PSN Julius J. Shower. You can even go to the last paragraph. In your letter dated MF IDM stroke 31212, you can start from there.
In your letter of MF stroke IDM stroke 3 stroke 2 stroke 1 dated 8th April 2018, we noted that the Ministry of Finance issued bond amounts totaling 35,718,255.77 cents to EcoBank Limited, $32,710,125.80, and Standard Chartered Bank $3,008,100 on behalf of Nyombo Investment Limited. This is equivalent to the total amount the Ministry owed Nyombo Investments Limited. Therefore, the Ministry made adjustments by the corresponding amounts and brought the amount to Nyombo to zero. However, the domiciliation assignments to institutions Nyombo Investments owed were not considered when issuing the bonds. This resulted in payments to some institutions remaining outstanding. In view of the above, we seek guidance on the unpaid domiciliation assignments. Further, I hope that the above information provides a coherent explanation as requested.
Wanted the PS to hear that last statement. Because that's why Auditor General was asking if the 29 is in the 35.
Chair, may you allow me to read 4?
You can read. Hold on, Honorable Olumai. We want to give them chance.
Yes, you have already provided guidance.
Yes, but let her read.
Yes. In this one is...
Okay, that's the last intervention.
Okay, request for information on outstanding liabilities owed to Nyombo Investment Limited and Nera Investment Limited. Reference is made to your letter, to your minute, MF/IA/101/12/1 dated 24th November 2017 in regard to the above subject. Please be advised that the Ministry of Agriculture owes Nyombo Investments Limited the total sum of 22,900,702.23. In principal amount, and Nera Investment a total of $18,552,549. In interest amount only, Nera Investment Limited has been paid the full principal amount, whilst Nyombo Investments Limited, we have not concluded discussions on accrued interest on delayed payments. And then there's a breakdown. Further be advised that the contract for Nyombo Investments Limited for the farming season 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 is subject to domiciliations as follows. There's a breakdown for Eastern and Southern African Trade Development of 16 million, EcoBank 9 million, and Swiss Singapore 3 million, 3.6 million, Efficient Freight at 338,000, bringing the total of subrogated amount to 29 million.
Yeah, and this letter was on November, the other letter was on September, which has that, one has got 35 million, one has got 22 million,
yes,
and 18 million.
Yes, sir. If you do a comparison between the two letters, you will see that the other one only bears 22 million because at the time they did not ascertain the interest component. But the much later one, which was 11th September 2018, the interest owed to Nyombo was then established. As a result, the amount moved from 22 million to 35 because there was a $12 million attributed to interest.
That's fine. Thank you, Council, for your submission. And PS, thank you. Honorable colleagues, so PS, we have not concluded this matter. For us as a committee, we would love the Attorney General, I think we'll write for them to come with yourselves, also the Secretary to Treasury to come and help us ascertain this matter, because he wrote those letters and we've seen in his letters issues of recoveries also on guidance in an event that the ministry fails to recover money from the company which is in liquidation, which is Nyombo. And we know the directors of Nyombo, I think, even in liquidation. So I think it's important that those are also caught. Swiss Singapore also be written too, they'll still come back. And then we can conclusively, I think, close this matter and issue. And also Auditor General, let's also relook at everything, as it were. Then we can come and conclude this matter effectively. But certainly there's an overpayment, PS, that we know. That's why we're here. So we do thank you most sincerely, PS, and your team, and also the Ministry of Agriculture, PS Technical Services, the acting PS, and the entire delegation. We do thank you most sincerely. Our role, PS, is to safeguard public resources. That's why we're here. And we are not here to demean anybody, but to ensure that rightful procedures and processes in terms of public accountability of public resources is adhered to by ourselves who are custodians and who have been conferred with this very important duty to appropriate funds on behalf of our citizens adhere to the stipulated guidelines and laws which are promulgated by Parliament. That's why we are here to provide oversight to the executive to ensure that there's good governance and accountability. So we are all pushing in the same direction. We provide the much needed service delivery to Zambian people. So we do thank you most sincerely, PS, and I'm happy that the Accountant General is also here with us today. So we do thank you, AG. So we are grateful, PS. Let me take this opportunity, PS, to lift immunity conferred before you in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. That has been lifted, and we thank you most sincerely. We are
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. This is Parliament TV, the only station which brings Parliament closer to you. That was Public Accounts Committee. The committee is considering the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of Republic for the financial year ended at 31st December 2024. Now, the committee was receiving submissions from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, as well as the staff from the Ministry of Agriculture. So the committee has advised that the witness shall reappear before the committee at a later date to be communicated. So this is what the committee was considering for today. I've been your presenter, Joe Muyunda Katama. Remember, I'll be back at 14:15 somewhere there to give you the votes and proceedings regarding today's program, our live parliamentary proceedings. And we urge you to stay glued to Parliament TV. Good afternoon and enjoy your lunch.